That's
It's
much
a
better. And also, you like to shoot a lot of nudes. You did a book called
I
Nude
do. Yes. Yes. And the reason that I do that,
that you're in.
and that I am, there was a self-portrait there. Um, people kind of look at you in a different way, when you shoot nudes,
Mm,
because it's very easy to look at a person now and conjure up all these things of why they're doing nudes. There's an intrigue there, of perversity, of
mm,
weirdness, of things like that.
yeah.
But when you are a true auteur and a true artist, like all the artists in history,
Yeah,
everyone starts with nudes.
exactly.
And there's a reason for that. You take an art room full of students who are in a class of drawing, a
Yeah.
class of sculpture, a class of photography, a class of painting. What are they doing first? They're doing nudes.
Mhm.
There's a reason why you're doing nudes. It's the purest form, a purest form of structure, of beauty, of lines, of geometry, and you study that. You look at Picasso and Rembrandt and Caravaggio. You look at all these people, all these wonderful artists that do nudes.
Mhm.
I have a wonderful list of favorite photographers that have, inspired me with nudes. My most favorite photographer that have inspired me is Bill Brandt. Another favorite photographer of mine is Peter Witkin.
Mm.
You look at nude photographers like Helmut Newton,
Yeah.
Robert Mapplethorpe. You look at all these wonderful photographers that do nudes, and you look at Irving Penn. I mean, I look at Irving Penn's breast that he did, and it's just a
Yeah, I mean, that's
breast.
just incredible.
Why did this breast, very simple photograph of a breast, why did that breast go up for auction, you know, busting all the records in photographic history at the time? And I look at the breast and I try to create
Yours
that in my
looks
own
like
way.
yours reminds me of that.
Well, I
Your
try,
photo.
just for a learning exercise, but why did that evoke a certain je ne sais quoi, a certain emotion that, okay, a breast that I took is crap. That doesn't evoke anything,
Mhm.
So
No.
then you start to learn by that. And the reason why I do that is because it is the hardest genre, I believe, to shoot, because there's a very razor sharp, fine line of it looking immature, of it looking indulgent, of it looking perverse.
Right.
Razor sharp, fine line there. And there's a blur there. And when you take a lot of photographs of nudes and you're looking back on them, so, oh my God, where was my head at the time? But then you see that you're passing that razor sharp line of blurred line, and now you entered that realm of legitimate nude genre of photography.
Mhm.
It's a wonderful thing because not everyone can do that.
Right.
It's the most hardest genre, I believe, that a photographer can do. Commercial photography is one thing. Documentary photography is one thing. Fashion photography is one thing. Landscape photography is one thing. Portrait photography is one thing. But nude photography is the hardest thing to do. And there's a reason why it's the hardest, because now you have an audience that's all judging you now about where your head was at and what you're shooting at.
Yeah.
And you look at photographs like Robert Mapplethorpe, which was way over the
Well, that's
top,
definitely like
you
where's your
know,
head at? I mean,
you know, but look at what his photographs are selling right
I
now.
know
And
it's
he's in the fine
incredible.
art world of one of the greatest nude
Yeah.
photographers in the world. So why is that? Why do you look at that kind of work now and then say, wow, okay, that was a very interesting place and time genre of work, of attitude. You take Jan Saudek's work, you know, you take a Horse Be Horsed, you take Nan Goldman, you take a lot of these artists and you look at their nudes, Araki's work, of bondage, of Japanese bondage, and you look at the old work of, Alfred Stieglitz,
Mhm.
Andre Cortez, Weston,
Yeah.
Edward Weston, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And you look at their nudes. To me, the female body is a very beautiful form of sculpture.
To you and everyone else.
I truly believe that. Um, and when they're placed in a landscape or placed in an environment, um, where you're juxtaposing simple geometry of form against very brutalistic landscape or whatever it have be, or even just to keep it simple, where you're in a white cyc and you're playing with light, the way light shapes around that nude sculpture of light and dark, black and white, shadow, the absence of light, and creating those shapes as an artist. It's a very beautiful, inspiring, enlightening thing to do. And then you reach a point and stage in your work. Now you want to challenge certain things. So now you place the simplicity into maybe outside environments. That's what I do now sometimes too.
Yeah.
I place my nudes in beautiful landscapes of environment. And a lot of my nudes, if not most of them, were all infrared film photography. And why I did that at the time with infrared, it made the skin milky white,
Hmm.
like porcelain, like Carrara marble. That's what infrared did. It also made the sky black. You're in the middle of the day, and all of a sudden, with infrared film, that sky is black and your subject is milky white. And you have that contrast of black and white, that chiaroscuro feel. So, of course, you're an artist, you're a photographer, you're shooting genre of nudes right now. How could that not inspire you?
Right.
Yes, in my book, one of my greatest photographers that I love is Helmut Newton. Um,
I
what's
love his
the other
work
one?
as well.
Greg Gorman. Greg Gorman
Oh
is another.
yeah.
He's a very dear friend of mine. In fact,
I
in
love
that nude
Greg.
book, Greg Gorman,
I have to get
who
Greg on
who's
here.
one of my heroes,
Yeah, he's
he
amazing.
wrote the introduction to my book. That was done by Greg Gorman. He's still alive. You look
Ah,
at his work,
yeah.
masterful at the time. Um, he still is.
Yeah.
But when I say at the time, he was doing a lot of nudes that I've collected as well. He was a tremendous inspiration to me. But you look at work of these artists, and why I do that, in a nutshell, is because it's hard. That's why I do it.
Yeah.
It's the
You're
hardest
challenging
genre
yourself.
to do, Paris. You take the greatest photographers in the world. I don't care who you are, the greatest that has not done nudes. First, there's a reason why they don't do nudes because it's difficult. And if they did do nudes, I'm sure it would take them a long time to find their voice,
Yeah.
to find their aesthetics of it not being too immature for them. That learning curve is really very difficult.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why you find your
I
niche. So
see.
that's why I do
Yeah, no,
nudes.
and I do see a lot of nudes. I always just wonder. Only thing that sometimes I wonder is a lot of times when men shoot nudes, they hardly have any nudes of other men. They only want to shoot women, which
Yes.
I think is kind of that's the only thing that I
Fair
try.
enough, Paris.
Yeah,
But
I'm like
I
more
will respond to that.
okay.
Um, I've also shot male nudes.
Mm-hmm.
I've also shot myself when I don't have a subject.
Right.
I've shot many photographs of myself nude, one of which is in my nude book.
Right.
And there's a reason for that, is because you realize as a photographer, a male's body, is not as beautiful as a female body. So that's one big thing right
Ask a gay
there.
man.
But I will admit, yes, but I will admit you find like a bodybuilder perhaps of a
Yeah.
male body, of a
Yeah.
male nude, of a bodybuilder that's sculptured.
Right.
That I find really very, very beautiful. Another reason is it's very difficult
Right.
to find male models. A
Hmm.
lot of male models would not want to pose nude. Women would want to pose nude more than men. So that's another reason.
Yeah. Not
So
this woman.
there's many reasons why men who shoot nudes wind up not shooting male nudes.
Yeah,
They
it's
would
because it's
want
hard.
to.
I never would have thought that it's hard to shoot
It's
nudes.
very difficult.
It's
Well,
the Paris Chong Show.